We are not too far away from the 2022 AFL draft, and we are going to be talking strategy. 3 clubs per video that I literally just spun on a wheel and grouped together. There is no logic to the ordering at all, but hopefully you guys can stick around and enjoy all the videos. Even if you aren't a supporter of these teams, I do recommend watching them all the way through, as potential draft pick swaps are going to be discussed throughout the videos as well. But this is all about the strategies. The players I expect will be around the mark and would suit your club absolutely beautifully is the role of the draft dissections. Let's get into it. Part 1, North, St Kilda and West Coast.
Wrong side for him, hooks a ball! What a man! Sensational!
If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. At the time of recording, we just hit the 580 mark, which is amazing. Thank you so much to everyone that has jumped on board, not only before the kind of messy break that had to be had, but since I've jumped back on half a dozen or so videos and you guys are seemingly enjoying them, which is fantastic. If you could click that like button, it only takes a second or two. More people will be able to see the video as per the YouTube algorithm, rules, if you will. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. The Daz Talks Footy family, I truly believe, is the best footy supporter YouTube base on this platform, and you guys make that possible. So come and join the fun, but let's get into it. Part 1, and we begin with North Melbourne. Under Alistair Clarkson, North have got almost the same rule as real estate does, except they're yelling location, location, location. North need to be screaming quality, quality, quality. Whilst there still are some list holes at North, I would argue a couple of them are larger than most others in the competition. Given that they've got picks 2 and 3, it's just about locked in that they're going to be Harry Sheezel and George Wardlaw, with Sheezel's ability to impact the contest forward of centre. He's going to provide an almighty partnership with the likes of Cam Zurhaar and Paul Curtis, especially as Curtis can become that stay-at-home crumbing forward who is going to be dangerous all the time, whereas Sheezel can work his way up the ground. This is a guy that's had 30 disposals and 4 goals, 5 in a game. So he finds the footy, and his impact per possession is outstanding. Whereas Wardlaw, if he wasn't injured, would arguably be on the level of Ashcroft, and he definitely was before those injuries did happen. A quality contested midfielder who will also do the defensive work. So because Luke Davies-Uniacke had a breakout year, especially offensively at centre bounces, he is going to be able to thrive in finding the footy and getting his way out of contests, while Wardlaw can take care of the dirty work and can hopefully help stop opposition midfielders fall out the front of the contest and set up attacking chains, because North did have the worst retention of footy in the neutral zones. They were allowing more inside 50s per minute than anyone else in the competition last year, and a midfield is going to help that. I think the inclusion of Wardlaw means Will Phillips does become part of that group, and Taran Thomas just needs to play his footy on a wing, and Sheezel will play round 1 if he is fit enough, and he'll play under a childhood hero in Alistair Clarkson, even though Clarko isn't at the Hawks anymore. But a nice little piece of symmetry there, and it looks like Cooper Harvey, of course, son of Brent Harvey, the great man known as Boomer, is going to get to North probably with either their last pick, or if someone makes a bid, then pick 40 will be swallowed up in that case as well. But if they do use 70 on him, which is looking probably more likely than unlikely, it is those middle 2 picks that are in contention. Now, I don't think North move from their 23 spot, personally. I think they are just going to wait and see who is best available. Now, if there is someone that is falling and GWS have got the first pick of the second round, North are definitely the kind of team that could move up. Although, do you really want to give up assets for one player, considering they would have already taken Sheezel and Wardlaw at this point? I genuinely believe that they should just hang back and take the best available. Now, that could be the excitement machine of a Lockie Cowan from the Tassie Devils, who would absolutely help them again on the outside of the contest, more so at half-back. Get some metres gained up and grow with the likes of Josh Goda as well would really work there. But for North, that pick is just going to be genuinely who they believe is number 1 on their draft power rankings, if you will. Now, whether that is a Cowan, could the likes of Elijah Hewitt fall away? Could Ollie Houghton get to that pick? Can you imagine Sheezel, Houghton Zoha and Curtis as your forward line, surrounded by the tall of Nick Larkey and whoever they believe their centre half forward is, whether that's Charlie Comben or whoever, would be really good of them. But they're just going to wait and see. As for 40, if it isn't Cooper Harvey, a guy that I think they could target if they don't get Houghton would be Jaden Magor, or Major, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to go with Magor here, who is a goal-kicking option. He's not quite got the height to be a genuine third tall, but he is clever inside that forward 50, and one that I think North could genuinely look out for. But if they come out of this draft with Sheasel, Wardlaw to start, a really, really good talent at 23, but 23 and 40, one of them needs to be another goal-kicking option. They're okay down back in terms of room to grow. They've still got youngsters that they need to figure out if they can play or not. But Wardlaw's going to be their midfielder. They're going to get Cooper Harvey, get another goal-kicking target in there as well. And I think North will come out of the draft pretty well. To the Saints, and all eyes on pick 9, and it's literally going to be who falls. There is some talk that they do want to move up with the Bombers at pick 4. I'm not really sure why. Are they really going to take Elijah Sardis at 4? They genuinely could. He's the only one that makes sense to move up for at that point. I don't think Ginby really suits the Saints on paper. They've still got Hunter Clark, hopefully, who's fit after a preseason. Nick Caulfield has come back. They've still got Ben Patton down there, Callum Wilkie, Jack Sinclair, so he doesn't really fit that mould. Even on the wings, Nazaya Wanganeen-Miller and the like are still there, so I'm not sure it's going to be him. Bailey Humphrey might be the option for the Saints, but it would make more sense if they move up for Elijah Sardis, and there still is a world that Sardis is still there at 9. More unlikely than likely, of course, but Cam McKenzie, their next generation academy kid, is going to be around the mark as well. I'm still not sure what Hawthorn are going to do, and we'll touch on them in a bit, who are kind of becoming the rose thorn in the side in this draft. They're the ones that we don't really know who they're going to take. It could be anyone of Jai Clark, Bailey Humphrey, Matthias Phillip, Elijah Sardis, Cam McKenzie, Bailey Humphrey, if I haven't already said him already. That's kind of what we're looking at here for the Saints. But they're going to get a top quality player at pick 9. I believe it is out of Sardis and Cam McKenzie. It will be one of them. But it's what they do with the next 2 picks that is really intriguing for me. I personally believe that they need to target a forward of centre kind of player. I think a Kobe Burgel with one of those picks would be a fantastic get. He's a beautiful user inside 50. Finishes off his own work really nicely. And I think he's going to provide a foil for Higgins and Butler, who can really become the crumbing forwards that we know them as, because the further they move up the ground, the more invisible they tend to become. And I think with another one of these picks, whether it is their second to last or last pick, they need to take a ruckman. Paddy Ryder is out the door. Jack Hayes is still injured. So I think they're going to target, is Harry Barnett going to be still on the board? With Collingwood and West Coast in front of the Saints, it seems unlikely. So a Max Noble would be someone that I would look at. 206 centimetres, still developing, of course. He won't really need to play round 1. Rowan Marshall can hopefully take over the number 1 ruck spot at the Saints, which he pretty much already is anyway. But Ryder was a fantastic foil for him. As to what they're going to do with their last pick, I genuinely think it's just going to be best available. Do you take a punt on a key defender that's falling in the draft, even though Zane Cordy's in the door? Oscar Adams is still there. They did have a few injuries last year, who knows? But I think someone that can play more on the outside. Does a Jason Gilby get to that spot? I'm not sure, but I think he would be pretty good on a wing. He works hard defensively as well, and he and Nazaya Wanganeen-Miller will be able to run all day. But the Saints, they need to come out of this with either Sardis or McKenzie to start. I think they need a forward 50 impact player, or a half forward impact player, or a forward third player. That's the term that I'm looking for. And they need a ruckman. Start with those 3, and whoever they get last will pretty much already be a tick anyway, as once you hit above pick 40, you're genuinely taking the best available. For the Eagles, this is how you rebuild. 4 picks inside the top 30. Now, considering we've got Ashcroft, Fletcher, and Owen Davey Jr., these are genuinely going to be in the top 30. I think their last pick is going to end up stretching to 29, so that's why I've gone with that. However, you could say with the father-sons that they are 26 anyway, because the Eagles were never going to get them. However you want to look at it, I am okay with. However, they do need to target WA talent, and not necessarily because of the go-home factor, but because when you've got kids of the quality that are around this mark at their picks, it's just a match made in heaven. I believe that Ginbey is going to be the man that they are targeting with their first pick, hoping that Gold Coast take Bailey Humphrey, and that can work out beautifully. And I do believe that Ed Allen is going to be their guy at 12. The back half of his year was extraordinary. The way he tested at the Combine was fantastic. He's over 188 centimetres tall. He can play genuinely anywhere on the outside of the contest. That is going to suit the Eagles just fine. Does their man Elijah Hewitt get to them at 20? More unlikely than likely, but again, we are going to see guys fall in this draft. We saw Arlo Draper and Zach Taylor, who were projected top 25 picks going into the draft last year, fall in the 40s. So he could genuinely fall, and he could be a guy for them to look at. I do think at 26, they could maybe make a reach on a guy like Noah Long, who is a Victorian, but he would be an impact player in the front half. Harry Barnett is genuinely going to be something for the Eagles to think about, if we're being completely honest. Now, whether that is at 20 and hope that he does get through, or do they take him at 26 or a ruckman. Nick Naitanui isn't going to be around forever. Bailey Williams still really hasn't established himself yet. I think it is a big year for BJ Williams, but another ruckman here would not be out of the question as well. They could go after one in the mid-season draft, of course, but Barnett is really developed and ready to go. He does remind me of an 18-year-old Max Gawn. He does not need to be Max Gawn to be a successful AFL player. That's why I kind of hate doing player comparisons. But the Eagles here need to come in with a plan. 2 Western Australian kids first up. Hope for a third, or at least someone that can impact on the outside of the contest at 20. And then at 26, they either need to take a ruckman in this spot, or again, another outside player. With Shuey, Yo, and Kelly still playing on next year, Campbell Chesser to come in on the halfback flank, they still don't really need to draft a contested beast in the midfield yet. They're still going to be pretty bad next year. They're going to get a beauty in next year's draft in the first round. So it could be a Caleb Smith to partner Chesser down back. But what the Eagles need to do is don't panic here. Get your pieces, and in next year's draft, which is supposedly a beauty, go get your contested beast and your number 1 midfielder there, whilst the 3 guys you've got are still at the footy club. So that's it for part 1 of the draft dissection. North, St Kilda and West Coast done and dusted. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know if you liked the video. Click that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Look after yourselves. Part 2 coming tomorrow. Take care.